So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ad Brothers podcast. You know, I like to welcome half of the Ad Bros are here. So you have, just to introduce really quick, you have myself, Tony Stallion. And then we have my man to my left.
Easy Rose, baby.
And then we got to the front.
I'm AD, and the rest of the world know me as AD.
All day.
All
Right.
day.
All day. So I just want to thank the good people at Electro Positive for hosting us here and having us here. So AI is in all your products. It's in your cell phone. It's in your computer. It's
Calculators.
Calculators.
You still use those?
It's in your web browser. It's in, you know, when you sign on to Amazon and they suggest something you bought two buys ago.
Telemachines.
Yeah, right. Telemachines.
Everywhere, man. They've been around forever.
You know, and inanimate objects, you know, just learning your behavior, your needs and your wants. How do you guys feel about it? So before we jump in that, I just want to tell, I think I told this in the chat, but I just want to tell a quick story. So I was talking about CeraVe lotion. I was just like, hey, you know, you're running low on this. I was at our apartment. I was like, hey, you're running low on this. And literally, maybe like 2 minutes later, she was on Instagram and she got a CeraVe ad on her phone.
Right.
So you just said it.
I just said, yo, you're running low on this.
Yeah.
And it could be, I mean, that can't be a coincidence.
No, it's not a coincidence.
The exact fucking product I said you're running low on, you get an ad for.
Hold on, did she search for it?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, your phones are listening. People talk about how, you know.
Oh, yeah. Your mic is on.
Yeah, the Echo is listening, / Alexa, or the
Siri.
Google Home. All these phones are listening. They make no mistake. They may, you know, they may say they may not be listening, but they're listening. And then let's be real about it, man. You know, we're in the ad game. People try to sell advertising. And if they get any kind of data, whether it's going to be something coming directly from your voice or you input it through text, that's a data point. That's a way, you know, to measure something or a metric that they can use to say, hey, this person said something about a product. We just going to give it to them.
And they're just going to use that algorithm to optimize towards whatever some shit that you said already. And they're just basically going to say, well, you know, this cat, he likes this, and we're going to just keep giving it to him. He says, no.
How do you guys feel about it? I mean, when
I think for me, like how I feel about it, I mean, the worst thought about it is like watching fucking Black Mirror. Like that shit is the realest shit ever.
Real.
Like,
I love
yo. Because
it's Mirror ill, yo.
When you're talking about technology and how it's supposed to optimize all your experiences, right? And there's certain things like you have a person, they have a phone function. Like, I mean, I've seen AD's presentation on how so many different products became just in your one mobile device, right? So now it's like you have all this shit going on in your phone, and you don't even use probably 60% of this shit. So, I mean, it kind of depends. I mean,
it reminds me of Minority Report, that scene where he's running through the streets and like when something catches his eye, like boom, straight to I can't forget his character's name, but here's this cologne you want, blah blah blah. You know.
Or it's like, you know, Wall-E, right? When there's people float around on those little floaters, those hovering things with the little screens in their faces. It's kind of like that. They getting fed all the stuff that they want. And the funny thing about that, right? That is pretty much how, quote unquote, the fake news on social media proliferated because of machine learning, aka AI, only fed you the stuff that you like. Exactly. So as opposed to giving you a different point of view or something you didn't agree with, which actually enlightens you, it just kept feeding you the stuff that was relevant to you. Right. So that's the point. That's the problem, in my opinion, with AI. It's creating a world where people cannot have a different point of view.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy too?
It's
like
down to you, and you know.
I mean, if you even talk about fucking Instagram, like I was like, damn, when are they gonna add a dislike button to this shit? Like, there's so much shit that's in my feed all day. I'm like, yo, I mean, now
I would dislike a lot of shit.
Yeah, but see now
hate on these.
Now we done got to the point where when you don't click on some shit, motherfuckers say, oh, you hating.
You hate.
So you not clicking.
I want to hate though. I want to dislike. I actually want to hate on people. Fuck you.
I kind of agree. I kind of agree with AD and shit. Like
sometimes you gotta show.
You need garbage. You need somebody to hate on balance. You. If AI was used with the intent to really push the human species, because technically, you know, it's only one race, the human race, but the human species, if we use it in that manner, I think it could be ideal. It could be really cool, right? It can be that thing to help us actually reach other planets. But unfortunately, like any technology, the moment you weaponize it, you got a problem, right? Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. What's the biggest fallout potentially from AI? Like, anybody want to take a hint?
Terminator. The biggest fallout?
Well, Skynet, no duh. Skynet. But what could potentially become Skynet, right? Like, out of all the services that we know, right?
Oh, Apple.
Nope. Oh. Nope. Take another one.
I know I would think it has something to do with data.
It's definitely with data. What's the biggest?
Facebook.
Nope.
Oh, shit. Damn.
The biggest data you can possibly get on the planet right now is weather data, location data. And who got that? Google Maps. And anything that's using Google Maps, such as Uber. If Uber becomes like the autonomous company that it's trying to be,
you got Waze.
You now got a global robot.
All right, let's not scare the people.
Oh man, it's cool.
Some people should get woke. I think that's the problem.
Woke.
Some people should get scared and fucking change.
And we trying to tell you, we working this shit.
That's true.
But I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not saying that Uber gonna wake up tomorrow and kill everybody.
You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like that's the only way. That's the only way you're gonna make it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
All right. So autonomizing AI, that leads me to the next point. These sex dolls are becoming real every day.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror again. Black Mirror again. All
I'm going to say is I've seen some things on social media that was shared in the chat. Not anything explicit. Nobody having sex with the doll. But I'm just like, you look at Japan, you look at technology, you're like, damn, these things are becoming realer, more human every day.
True.
And then, once they perfect it.
It's like Ex Machina.
And then I Googled it. Price like $2K. You think about an Instagram model, you take it out for a weekend. That's about $2K, right?
Two stacks, right?
I'm just saying.
But I mean,
anyway, what are you two guys' thoughts on this? Do you think? And I don't mean to lead the witness with this question, but do you think this is adding to the hurt in terms of how we communicate and interact with each other?
I think so.
In terms of men and women, I guess. Yeah.
I think we've already started.
That's
already started.
Started.
As soon as social media popped off and you're giving people a voice and people who probably shouldn't be talking a voice, and we dealing with like vanity driven people who all day they just got a fucking cell phone up in the air just looking at themselves and looking at
they're not in the moment.
You don't even know this motherfucker over here about to rob you because you too busy looking at your phone. So like I think that Ben started. I think this is just the next level.
So Rosa, do you think like most? I'm not just going to say just guys, but being that it's guys on this show, from a guy's perspective, do you think something?
And also the sex dolls that I've been seeing are all women. I haven't seen any men.
Well, I'm sure they got that for, if that's what you're into, right? I'm sure they got that. But the point I'm making here is, right, being that you do have the sex dolls or, Tinder or whatever, all this other stuff. I mean,
how much work you got?
Well, yeah, because, back in the days, you had to have game to just kind of be able to, like, I'm not saying your game had to be strong, but you had to have some game.
Or you learn from a loss.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, but that's
game. And people don't want to take L's. That's the other thing.
But that's game, right? Game is losing.
That's wisdom.
That's wisdom. Like, playing the game, it's not always winning. You're going to lose, right? That's true. Look. Yeah. I mean, I met my wife. Shout out to the wife. I'm not gonna say her name, but we met before Tinder, internet stuff really took off. So we're kind of like this weird young old school couple. But we know a lot of people have met, over like Tinder or whatever.
Got married off of.
True. But if you're not talking about
weirdo shit to me, man.
But if you're talking about like the sex toys or these. I guess these living avatars that are not just sex, so these things are actually companions for people. Right. Like people having Netflix and chill moments with like, these for lack of better words, they're like not human. Yeah. Right? And they're intimate with them. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the great thing. Like I'm not gonna leave the topic, but you bring up an interesting point that I had this conversation with a friend the other day, because I'm not gonna give my age away, but me and his friend, you know, we were in high school around 2003 to 2007, and like
you just give away your age, bro.
I'm just saying,
Bang.
I could have got left back. You don't know, but anyway, the point I'm trying to make is we were in this era, or this weird era, where I want to say, and I don't want to take credit for it, but I feel like that generation of people, we were the bridge between where you had to interact with people. And when the internet and when this whole social thing started, so
that was the last one.
So it's like we know both. We know, like, all right, you got when you out in the street,
you the last.
Not the street, but when you out in the bar, you out at a party, you gotta go talk to that girl. Fact. But then we also know the other side where it's
you didn't have to. You could swipe left, swipe right.
Where you could swipe left, swipe right. But to me, speaking for that generation, I personally feel weird about a whole online dating thing. Blah, blah, blah. Like to me, it's like it's like.
But are you gonna buy a sex doll?
I'm not there yet.
Like, I'm not there.
Like here's the thing, I'm not there yet.
Man.
But to
also,
the point,
that's a big investment.
The point that you made earlier, the point that you made earlier though, like if you think about that, and it's like when you go out. I mean, I'm a person. I like to chop it up with my boys. I like to have conversations about all kind of things, right? And then you go out and then you see people. And they're at a dinner table. It's a big crowd. Somebody's birthday, some shit. Right. And everybody is at the table looking on their phone. I'm like, this is what we've come to.
Yo, when you come to my house and we have like a dinner party or like a little soiree, I just make sure that people put their phones up. That's the rule.
You have like those little bags?
I
like
have a bag. I'm old school. Like, yo.
Like they lock the phone.
I need to. I'm like, nah, keep your shit in your pocket.
I think it's just like from your generation and the generation before me, it's like when you were uncomfortable, you were forced to have these conversations, and just now it's like you have a choice where you're like, I'm gonna go to my comfort zone. I'm gonna just jump on where I get these likes.
Our generation, like I said earlier, we had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yo,
icebreakers. Like you remember, like, here's a topic. Like my bad. But like one of the wackest shit in the world. But like when you come into the office, it's like a Monday. It's like, hey, how was your weekend? Like you got to just come up with these fake ass conversations in a lot of ways. But it's like a lot of people. I still do that. But. Yeah, I mean, but like a lot of people, especially in no knock to like younger people, but they don't communicate like that. They communicate
via text.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember back in the days, I'm from Atlanta. So, a lot of times you want to go and holler at people, hang out. You had to go to places like the skating rink. Like, I don't know how to skate. Or I'll be straight up. I can dance. I can skateboard. I got 2 left feet. We put some roller skates on me. I don't know how to skate for shit. But I would still go to the skating ring because that's where all the people were. That's all the chicks were, man. I'm like, fuck that.
And on top of that,
I was busting my ass out there, but I didn't care.
Even, do you remember when you had to call a girl? And you call a girl, you had to call a landline.
Yeah. Mom pick up.
The brother had to pick up.
Oh,
the mama,
man.
How you doing, Miss Jones?
Who the fuck is this?
Right, and then you have to,
why you calling my fucking
right?
phone?
But you had to carry on a conversation. You had to have a conversation. You had to talk to maybe if you called her 3 times out the week, you might have talked to maybe 4 different people to actually get to her.
Yo, my mom. You be on the phone like spitting game, whatever. She just pick up the phone and just start dialing. She won't even acknowledge she don't even wait for the dial tone. She just start dialing. So you sitting there like boo boo boo. You're like, fuck, hey yo, I'm gonna hit you back.
Not everyone.
Yeah, she just like, it's my phone.
Right.
I should be able to pick it up and dial whenever I want.
Man,
that was rude, but she did it.
I remember in high school. Next day, I see a voicemail and I listen to it. It's like, hello, this is X, Y, and Z's mom. It wasn't a pleasant conversation because, she felt how she felt. She felt her daughter shouldn't be dating X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, yada, yada. But, it is what it is. It was a high school fling, so it wasn't nothing serious. But the point is, nowadays, a lot of people don't have to deal with that because either kids had their own cell phones at a younger age and they text, so they don't really have to deal with that. Or like Rose said, they don't know how to have these conversations. So it's like a younger person might not know how to communicate with this parent if they heard. They'd be like, damn, fuck it. Like, I don't got to call him back.
Right. Damn. And I think this also leads into another topic that we discussed before, is due to the fact that you have to articulate your words. You have to communicate. You have to talk. You have to retain information. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell product.
You got to
study a lot. Then you have to organize your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Ooh,
yeah, it is.
A lot of work.
It's more than just coming up with an idea or buying whatever or getting something like produced. You really have to like sell everything all the way through.
But the fact that we had to, you came up in a certain time where you had to actually talk to people.
Right.
It's like, whenever I got a card or something from somebody at church, my mother always made sure she was like, you know what, go call sister whatever, go call mother whoever, and tell them thank you for giving you this card with no money in it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, man.
I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, next topic, kind of tied into what we were talking about in terms of like Amazon, but earlier in terms of like just AI products. But a lot of these places are autonomizing their business.
Mm-hmm.
There's self-checkout. There's no customer service. Or I don't want to say no, but there's very limited customer service at Amazon. It's very like computerized. It's not like you just call and speak to a person. McDonald's, you order food through a kiosk and you just pick it up by a person. Eventually, they're going to have a robot bringing that shit to you. What are you guys' thoughts on autonomizing a company, brand?
For me, like, I understand that, it's a lot of young people. That's like a lot of their first jobs.
Yeah,
it's a lot of their first jobs. I think there's some people who might work there who trying to support their family. But
one of my first jobs.
I feel like it's just one of those the nature of the beast of America.
But I don't know, bro. I think we gotta be careful with this autonomization of, like industries because, I mean, let's be honest. When people ain't working, people get destructive.
Yeah,
mad destructive. And yes, they are low wage jobs. I get it, right? But let's be honest, low wage jobs still power a lot of industries here, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it is a burger joint or it is whatever, or, spot that sells, not so great food, but it is that job that if you are in high school,
you got somewhere to go after school,
right?
And you got somewhere to go after school,
right? And I but most of me, I just feel like it's killing jobs. We got to be careful of that, right. And it's also taking away yet another human interaction.
And for me, I used to work at McDonald's, and for some people, it's a way of life. Like there are some people who may be immigrants and people who don't have papers, and this or any restaurant job might be the only job they can get. So it's like you gotta kind of tread. I would say companies, you gotta tread lightly on how you do this thing.
You do
because it's like I get it. You want to cut medical and all that shit, and save money, but you're fucking with a lot of people's livelihood.
You are, man, and I don't know, man.
It's one of those things that's really fucked up.
On the flip side, there are some ignorant motherfuckers.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Yo,
I knew it was going to be me.
Videos. Sometimes you just want to deal with a robot.
Nah, it's true.
God damn, bro. I don't need all his back talk. I just need my order.
You don't need nobody to fight you over this drink.
I just
need
to
throw this drink in your face.
But
don't curse me.
And then you talking about that, like just directionally where we're going. Like we're talking about with the fake woman, and it's like now they make the dolls. It's like some people they probably just don't want to have conversations,
right? And
have to go deal with certain things. So I mean, I get it. I mean, I think still like I'm all for the people. I'm all about the human element of shit.
You ain't running for office, bro.
Nah, I'm just saying.
You don't got.
No. Come on, bro. Like me. Like I get into it with him, but at the same time, it's like, I would rather them and be all right. I got to deal with that shit.
Wouldn't you love your Hennessy with no back talk?
No, absolutely.
You just order that shit in a cup, pour, and you go.
Absolutely, but then at the same time, like you spoke about, like that's how you started. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, you weren't who you are today.
Right.
Like you had to grow into that. So like, why not give someone else an opportunity to grow into some shit that that they probably didn't see themselves. Like you really thought you see yourself sitting right here today with us two that we didn't even know doing a podcast.
But this is two good perspectives because, I mean, I was at.
And I'm down with you on that. I'm just saying I got to be objective and show you the other side.
I feel you. You gotta be a devil's advocate sometimes.
I mean, I was at some spot today, right? Buying, I don't know, soup, something like that, whatever. I was at some store. And I'm like walking in, and I'm like, dang, these cats are just not paying me any attention. Like, I just want to cash out and leave. So they back there talking smack, texting on their phone.
Oh, that's
and
tough.
In my mind, I'm like,
shit.
yo, you have no clue that
your job is about to be gone.
It's about to be gone. But in my mind, they don't care anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like,
Fuck
yo.
them.
I just
don't
walk
know, man.
out. Yo, so there's like an indicatch like near the job. Like I got into it with a girl one time, and she told me, she was like, "Sir, hold on." I'm like, "What?" Walked out. But I got my emotions, I got my feelings. What I should have did was order the food, order another round of food,
And then bounce.
and then dipped.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That's me being petty. I'm on my.
the one thing I would say, just to wrap this topic up, is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a whole nother podcast. But if you are not satisfied with service, or you're not satisfied,
Don't
with
pay
something,
for it.
You don't have to stay. You don't
Leave.
have to pay for it. You don't have to front for anybody and feel like because you walked in, you gotta complete the transaction. If you're not happy,
leave.
you're not being treated well, just wait 2 or 3 years. There will be
And
robots
we'll be a robot.
to serve you,
Damn.
and you will get the service.
You'll get the service. Until,
Just want to be clear for the record. All right, so Ralph Lauren, for those who remember the 90s, they are bringing back the Snow Beach collection. First question, are brands running out of innovative ideas? The second question, Snow Beach collection, or just Ralph Lauren in general, what did that mean to you growing up? The third question, because we all are not from privileged families, what did that mean in the hood, having Ralph Lauren? Yeah. So I mean, you look like you want to jump on this.
No. I was just thinking about like the first one, and I probably want to lean on AD a little bit, just from because this is like what he does every day with like ideas and shit.
Right.
But I feel like, like anything else, a lot of shit is always recycled,
True.
right? Like I think baggy jeans is gonna come back out.
it's nothing
like,
new under the sun.
You know what I mean? Like in the 80s they wore tighter jeans, and like now
In
it's
the early 80s.
early 80s,
Yeah.
But even like NWA 80s, like
That's true. They have fitted
Easy,
jeans.
They have fitted
and
jeans,
then beat your ass.
right? Exactly. And now, like if you're talking about
Fitted
now,
jeans and Jerry curls.
you talking about now, like you see like a lot of cats with the flat tops, and they got like the little spray colored. I mean, that shit is from the
Kwame
90s.
look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Kwame and the polka dots and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's like, all right, you're gonna revisit a certain time, and a lot of people, that was like a very, I would say, popular product for the Ralph Lauren brand. So it's like, now you have people who have an opportunity to relive that. I mean, you're talking about like the Jordan brand, like they make the same sneaker over and over, and actually the product is actually worse than what it was when it first came out. So I mean, is it lacking innovation? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think it's more about just saying like, all right, we're gonna highlight this shit. This is a product that did well.
Right.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of kids or whomever, a person who probably had it back in the day, or they want their kids to have it.
Influencer.
I know like a lot of people who buy shit because they didn't have certain things growing up. Now they got a better
That's how I
situation,
feel sometimes,
and now they want to get their kids things
same
that
thing that
they couldn't get.
Not my
So-
kid. I want to get myself.
Oh
this
no
shit.
no.
Oh, you still on you.
Yeah, I'm still on me.
Oh no,
I don't got no kids.
I'm with you because like my journey is self-fulfilling, self-rewarding. So I'm with you.
Well, I think it's a little both, right?
Yeah.
Because
I
I mean,
agree.
look, I think brands have gotten lazy. I think they gotten lazy in terms of like innovating ideas, right? I mean, the only brands that are actually innovating right now are the tech brands, and they're
Exactly.
like actually running on ideas themselves. But I think more so than anything, bro, is that brands don't want to spend the money. Right? I mean, here's the thing about ideas. Ideas can come, ideas can go. And I'm sure there are a lot of like agencies or groups or creatives or just overall companies that have approached brands or internal groups at the brand, right, have come up with some phenomenal ideas, but they don't want to pay for them. Right? And, brand managers or CMOs, they want to spend a lot of money. They want to show that they can increase tick or push people through the funnel or push sales without spending a lot of money because, they coming in the door with a target on their head off the rip with a timeline. They probably could be 2 years max. And they moving on. So it's more so afraid to innovate, don't want to spend the money. And I just think, they've gotten lazy. Because to your point, I don't know. It's nothing original on the sun. It's all how you interpret it and apply it for the current moment.
It's about your
and that's
lens.
what makes it original.
And I like what you said. Like, before actual product comes out, you'll probably see 100 ideas that die before that one that comes up and becomes the final product. So I can only imagine, and I got a lot of respect for fashion, for most fashion brands, because it's like, as simple as it looks, you don't. I mean, I don't personally work in the fashion industry, so I can't really speak to it. But I can only imagine how many ideas, come up or come on the drum board before it's actually like, all right, this is the product we're gonna make. This is what's going to the factories, and this is what we're gonna push out.
You know what brands need? Brands need to be treated like a quarterback with a time limit. Because maybe we don't need brands to innovate. Maybe we need new brands to fit the time.
Right.
Ralph Lauren was great 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it ain't Ralph. Maybe it's not Ralph time anymore.
But I mean, it's a classic.
Maybe it's a classic, and classics are what they're supposed to be.
Right.
Classics. You don't change a classic, right?
Right.
Classics ain't gonna innovate. They're just gonna stay what they are, like a classic brand.
Right.
But maybe a Virgil Abloh is the new Ralph Lauren. I don't know, right? But he's speaking of the time right now. So maybe that's a better approach. Say maybe we need new brands if we want new innovation.
Right.
That is probably true. That is very true. But just to jump to the next two questions, I mean, I'm not sure how it was in ATL. I can definitely speak to it in New York, but like, how was like Ralph Lauren and like just the brand out in ATL? Like,
Nobody was stealing stuff.
Were people wearing it?
They
Like
were just buying it.
They were just buying
They
it.
could buy, I mean, let's be for real, right? Atlanta's a very different city from a lot of other urban cities because Atlanta encompassed people from Atlanta and other people from other quote unquote black cities, right? So, you had the best of the best at the time coming there to go to the schools or other jobs. So you didn't have to worry about this ideal of like bomb rushing a Macy's to like, to take some like Ralph Lauren. The problem with that is you're gonna bomb rush a Macy's at South DeKalb Mall. When you come out the mall, where the fuck you gonna run? You have no subway systems. You're gonna get in a car and peel off.
Right.
You can do that, but it's just not logistically set up for that type of whatever. And plus, too, most people got a little pocket change. They just go buy a polo.
And then for people who aren't thinking about it, I mean, Midtown, especially like 42nd Street in that area where I think it was like 34th Street where Macy's was. That was not the safest place in New York.
Nah, it wasn't.
90s. So it's like real. You could get away with just running to the train station, just dipping and just be out.
That's true.
But what about you, Rose? I mean, if it didn't mean anything, that's cool. But like, growing up
as a brand, like, I mean, just neighborhood wise, it was popular. That and as well as other brands like so I would say, I mean, I'm just talking from the standpoint of like New York City, like just growing up and just watching like older cats and shit that they was wearing, like it was like a very popular brand. Not just that brand. There's other brands. I'm just not gonna be naming brands. Whatever. But right. But I mean, I think it almost became like a lifestyle for like a lot of people. I mean, I know we kind of spoke about this too, and like we talked about it earlier. But it's like you take that and as well as all right, here's the brand, and okay, now per what AD was saying, like a few cats like I'm gonna steal the shit now. But like anyone who's from a lot of like urban neighborhoods. Like there's the cat who not only were they wearing these brands, but it's like, all right, they're like, they're kind of like models or like mannequins for it. Walking mannequins for it.
They be collecting like cars, umbrellas.
Exactly.
Cups.
So now it's like.
Paper cups.
Now, strength is in numbers. So like now you got people who are like, all right, I see all these cats wearing it. It's like, yo, that shit looks kind of cool. But at the same time, they're selling this shit because they stole it. So I'm shouting out the low life crew of Brownsville. True. But you know what I'm saying?
I love that culture, man. It has its own culture.
It has its own culture. I mean, just the idea of that. I'm like, oh shit.
So, and no disrespect, because I mean, look, man, I expect it's part of hip hop culture. I'm a huge hip hop head, right? Whatever. Would you say that the low life kind of gave birth or credence to what a lot of people call, I wouldn't say hype beast ish, but the hype beast kind of mimicking things that the low life did, but hype beast is standing in line buying the shit.
Yeah,
low life was just run your shit, right?
Yeah, I think they had their own movement. I think just with the impact of the internet, we were gonna get hype beast kind of people anyway. Because like you got to think about it. You know, we're just talking about New York City. They might have had a newspaper article here, like some shit over there. Like people talking about they might be on I don't know, Video Music Box or some shit, but. Now we have the internet. That's brought all of us together. So now it's like interest based. Right. So I'm interested in this. So I like this publication. Yeah. I'm into sneakers.
I mean, my barber was the guy who told me about Low Life 10 years ago. When I first moved to New York, I had no clue what that means. Right. No, I'm not, and not to say that anybody in Atlanta didn't know about it. I'm just saying that the people I know, at least I didn't know. Yeah. So I wasn't checking for that. I was a nerd. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
But I mean, this thing, like, and I will say, like, a lot of those cats, like, died for this shit.
Yeah.
A lot of those cats are in jail for, like, a long time. A lot of those cats, like, they represented what they represented. Right. And, some of them are writing books. Some of them are progressive and doing other things. Some of them are not doing nothing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Just to jump in, I'm from Queens. I know the low lives most. They're all from Brooklyn, right?
So it's Marcus Garvey Village in Brownsville, and I believe St. John's Place. Okay,
yeah. So I mean, like growing up, I didn't know what a low life was until probably like high school. So like, I agree with you. It's like it's not something unless you're in the culture or people or you got like an OG, not an OG, but like an older brother or someone who. For me, that would tell you about it, or you just grew up in the culture you wouldn't know. Yeah. To answer your question, I don't think they were hype beasts because, I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, a hype beast, I just Google it because when you asked, I was like,
Well, more so did they give birth to it?
Yeah, did they give birth to it?
Did they go?
I definitely don't think they were hype beasts, though.
Nah, definitely not. Did they give? I don't know. I mean, I feel like. I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast, but I feel like no. I'm just saying because
I think it's really the internet, man.
That's exactly.
Okay,
it's really the internet
because like a hype beast is a person who follows a trend to be cool or in style,
right?
And back in the 90s when it comes to hip hop, fashion, everything, I feel like most people didn't want to follow the trend. They didn't want to be in style. Right. They wanted to. They was like, oh, word. So-and-so is doing this. Damn, how can I do this differently?
That's what made Wu-Tang so dope.
Exactly.
The Wu.
That's what made Wu. I mean, I'm
Wu
sorry
came
to
out
cut
their
you
own
off, but that's what made Wu-Tang so dope because they came with their own style and using the karate flicks, right? And then everyone in the group rapped differently.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them. And they all were, like, good enough to have solo careers.
Exactly.
You'll never find that again.
I mean, like, honestly, this is like the Wu-Tang podcast.
Few of them were low heads.
I want to get copyright lawsuit, but honestly, like we like the Wu-Tang.
Shout out to the Wu
because shout out to Slums of Shaolin and everybody. But like
RZA's from Brownsville too.
We all do different things, and we all come together and make something great like Voltron. All right, cool. So, why do black people love Hennessy and Newports?
Okay, when it comes down to Newports, I don't know. But I'm gonna be real with you. I know a lot about Hennessy, and I'll get to that in a second. But I can truthfully say, I'm not just going to say Newports. Let's just talk about cigarettes, right? Because, my mom and dad smoked Cools growing up. And I had another cousin. She was a Virginia Slim, and other people smoked Newports, whatever. Right? As we say in the South, Pauls, right? I feel like it's not so much as Newports, because we are brand aware like that. I think it's the flavor. Like, we love menthol. It's the filter and the flavor. They love menthol. Like, yo, black folk love menthol. It's like, so where it's like cool menthols, Benson and Hedges menthols. Y'all remember Benson and Hedges? I'm old. Talking about Camels, right? Camels. I don't think that they ever had. I don't think they had menthols in Camels. Camels with white boys, like 12-year-old white kids to smoke those, right? Like, that's just what they did.
Right.
But I feel like we're just brand aware. But I think that whatever brand had the flavor, that's what we went with. I know Newport, Benson and Hedges, and Cools had them menthols, and we love menthols. I don't know why. I mean, we love them.
Shouts to Shouts to the homies that smoked Black and Miles.
Yeah, Black and Miles.
But
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shannon Sharp.
Yo, that's like every other cousin I got. Love them Miles, man.
I think it's just like a stress thing. Like, I hear from people that.
Well, why Newports?
It's just the advertising, I guess.
It gotta be.
But also, too, if you think about it, when you look at stores when they selling Lucy's, it's mostly Newports. So I think it's just like
it could be a finance thing.
It's a bit of an advertising thing.
The way
it's a bit of a marketing thing.
So the way it's served,
and the way it's served, it's like I personally I've never seen stores selling other cigarette brands as Lucy's. Like it's always Newports.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I was gonna say, or if you're in the hood, you'd be like Newports.
The other thing, though, too, is like you got to think about the consumer journey, right? Like, how did that person end up smoking cigarettes in the first place, right? Like, you probably started off smoking some weed, and
for us, we used to go buy our parents cigarettes,
right?
Like we was like 6. Back in the days, you could be 6 and buy Newports, buy cigarettes.
If the grocery store man or in my hood, the gas station guy knew your pops,
they get your carton.
Your parents would be like, "Yo, go buy that shit from the store." They know,
right?
So they give you their ID,
right,
and be like, "Yo, go buy that shit."
Right. So even with that though, you got to think about, all right, then how did your parents even start smoking cigarettes, right? Like, I mean, I could think about our generation. Like, I kind of agree. Like, maybe your parents, you were able to go get it for your parents, or like I think like a lot of people too, they start smoking weed and then their life changed a little bit, where it's like they got this job where they can't smoke weed anymore,
so
and they just need something,
oral fixation.
They can't smoke it during the day, yeah.
Or you got cats who probably didn't have like a lot of money, and
so did it start with hip hop when it come out of Newport? So it was before that.
That's a good question
because I remember hip hop.
I feel like it was in movies more.
I think you're right, but I remember hip hop was the thing like that made Newports popular that I noticed. Because to your point, everybody that smoked weed always followed up with a pulp, right?
Or even after certain people they drink. And
true.
They need a cigarette.
Smoke
like
square.
there's certain people that they only smoke after they drink. Or you got people who eat. They eating food.
My mom used to be that way. My mom and dad, when they used to finish, they smoke a cigarette.
They smoke a cigarette because they say it keeps you full. I don't smoke.
You finish fucking. You smoke that
smoke the cigarettes, had a cig, right? Yo, my homeboy said he passed a breathalyzer test. Don't nobody out there do this, but he had been drinking. That's the South, whatever. And I guess he didn't want to deal with that. So his other cat that we knew from high school said, "Man, you need to smoke this cigarette." Mind you, he didn't smoke cigarettes, but he puffed the cigarette. Supposedly, it messed up the breathalyzer.
Interesting. All right, well,
but don't go out there and do it. Hey, look, don't go out there and try that and get in trouble because of me. Right?
We're not advocating for smoking, but Hennessy.
So it's funny. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
I want AD to start.
I want AD to talk about it.
I want AD to start.
So
go ahead.
This goes back to Rose's consumer journey that he talked about. He talked a lot about that, right? So if you think about,
I want you to end it with the first time you had Hennessy.
First time I had Hennessy?
When you ride that bull.
Yeah, you can't get off of it. You can't get off of it.
It's a wild ride. All right, go ahead.
I'm going to remind me of that point, right?
Got you.
Because it's a very southern way how I got introduced to Hennessy. So reading this book by Hennessy, ironically, called A Toast to the World's Preeminent Spirit. It's called Hennessy, right? It's a Rizzoli book by this guy by the name of Glenn O'Brien who wrote it. They talked about like just Hennessy as this brand, like this vanity brand, like a lot of people thought it was like some hood stuff, but actually it's a very premier drink just because what goes into it is whole notion about the eau de vie, which means water of life and all this stuff that goes into making a cognac. It's a lot to think about, right? Well, when it comes down to black people specifically, it was ultimately the soldiers from World War II who basically was experienced, and not just soldiers, musicians, jazz musicians, soldiers, all kind of world travelers, go back to this travel thing we talked about earlier, who went to France and different parts of France and was living this abundance of life that they couldn't live here in America.
Right.
And if you in France, well, what you going to do? You're going to learn how to drink cognac.
It's kind of like Mudbound.
Exactly. Just like Mudbound. It's on Netflix. Right. You got to go check that out. But this guy by the name of Herb Douglas mentioned that in the book, right? Long story short, this guy's like the first African-American sales rep for Hennessy USA. He started in 1963. He's a former track and field star, right? He started out selling Paps to black people in the Southeast. And when he found out that when it came down to the liquor business, it wasn't black and white mean nothing. It was about the bottom line. Who's buying this shit? Who's selling it? At the time, Hennessy had terrible distribution, so they would package their bottles with like some other cheap whiskeys, right? Because bourbons and Tennessee whiskeys and stuff like that was like the thing in America. But when it came down to like getting Hennessy, what we can just say trendsetters back then, or what we call influencers now, he basically partnered with people from the NAACP, the Urban League, fraternities such as the Elks, Masons, or these Greek-led organizations. These are like upwardly bounded people, right? And they're aspirational. So their whole goal is to live a certain kind of lifestyle. Well, if you think about all of those things, and as well as entertainers, as well as those, guys coming back from the war or whatever, it became a part of our overall, I guess, culture to like Hennessy, because if you think about drinking Hennessy, it's like drinking freedom.
It's almost like when you go to a black person's house and they had the picture of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And then Malcolm X and,
And
then they got Obama.
Yeah.
And Jesus and shit. And then you got Hennessy
White
in the
Jesus.
corner.
White Jesus for the record.
So, yeah, it's just like that, right? So it became synonymous with I wouldn't say I arrived, but for lack of better words, I have arrived.
Right.
I've traveled. This is kind of like, the higher life.
Yeah.
Us coming out of the 1960s with bloody decade of like the civil rights movement, the youth movement, the anti-war movement, counterculture, all those different movements happened in the 60s. Well, when you go through craziness, you just want to live, right? And,
Ooh, free love.
Yeah, free love, right?
Shout out to
70s. Stay away from that powder.
No way.
But yeah, I mean, that got us drinking Hennessy is ultimately all those combinations back then. And then now you talk about like going forward. Well, after a while, you're like, well, I drink Hennessy because my dad drank it or my granddad drank it. And then it makes its way into the hip hop culture. And then here we are talking about why black people love Hennessy. And we, it's like an urban legend. We didn't know, right? Until I read this book. I'm like, well, damn, that actually makes sense.
Right.
And my barber mentioned this too. I'm a barber. He's dope, man. He's really dope.
What about
Shit, man, it's hard to come after that shit.
Damn, word, exactly.
What was the question? Yo, I went so many places after hearing that.
I mean, why do you feel black people love Hennessy, or what was your experience with what we call hen dog?
So I share that last experience.
Yeah, your experience.
I'm Southern.
First experience.
My first experience of drinking Hennessy was at a strip club. I mean, it's a very Southern thing. I mean, one of the brothers, Ad Bros, he loved going down to the A, and he said getting $5 hen and lap dance, that was his thing, right? So that's how I got introduced to it, because my brother took me to the strip club when I was 18. So yeah, I ain't supposed to be there, but hey, it's the South, whatever.
Yeah,
and then so if you in a club, well, you gonna drink something. So I had Hennessy at the strip club for the first time.
That's a good one.
That's a good place.
That's a good one. Oh man, that's a good one.
What about you?
I everything that AD said, like, it makes sense. For me, I think everyone in the neighborhood, like I grew up in, they was just drinking it, and then it was like older cats. So you saw older cats drinking it. So, for me, I grew up like I was outside when I was 12, 13 years old, like partying and doing all kind of shit. You going out, you know what I'm talking about, Sean. Like, you going out and you got people, you got cats. So like the crew I was with, like, we never like looked up to people. Like, we had our own crew. We always had our own money.
Yeah.
But my boy and like his family, they always had like parties and shit.
Yeah.
So like that
were they
was
Caribbean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Those
they always
Caribbean
had
parties
parties and
always
shit, and it was like
What up,
always
rum
there.
punch.
So
Yeah.
that became one of the things. It's like, all right, you know what, this is what we drinking. But we went through different phases of stuff. But like Hennessy's just been consistent. Like,
Gotcha.
I remember the first time I got drunk, and I don't really remember the first time I had Hennessy, because I feel like the first time I got drunk off E&J. And everybody knows that's that easy, but from the hood, that's that easy Jesus. Easy Jesus.
Jerk.
And that was like, that was crazy. But
Interesting.
my first like story with Hennessy, like my first story, I remember I was I might have been like 18, 19, and I was in a club. Of course, I was too young to get in, but I felt like at that time
anyway.
We got in. I think we might have paid the bouncer or whatever. So we got in, and so we in there. It's a popular song playing, I guess, at the time. And so like all the cats I'm with, they went to go holler at these girls. So they left the bottle with me. We mad young.
You gotta be the bottle protector, though.
I was the bottle protector, and I ended up
drinking.
ended up drinking. Yo, man, I remember waking up and I was on the couch at my boy's house, and his pops was like, "Yo, man, you must have had a good night." And I was like, "Yo, that shit was crazy."
Yeah.
That's my story.
That's your story. Yeah. Word.
I mean, I can't really speak to why black people love
Out in the
Hennessy.
streets.
I agree with both of your points in terms of like what Hennessy meant to the community. For me, from my point of view, it was really a machismo thing.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Because, you know, when you're drinking underage, obviously you're drinking like Hypnotic, you're drinking beers, you're drinking all this stuff. But you weren't, for me growing up, you weren't a man until you could take Hennessy and survive. Like,
Really?
if you had Hennessy and got a hangover,
Really?
you failed. But if you drank Hennessy and the next day you woke up and you were good,
That's
that's your pass. You in the eyes of my friends, it's
like a rites of
big
passage
dog.
kind
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
a rite of passage. You're a big dog. I will agree. Like, I agree with your points. Like, the first time not the first time I saw it, but the majority of the time I see it, Caribbean parties, you know, Caribbean people, they pulling out the cognac and like they drinking it. And I would say my first remembrance of Hennessy, whatever, and it was New Year's. So back in high school, you know, we used to have these things called Incredible Hulks.
Oh
yeah, I remember those.
That's the hypno.
That's the hypno.
You give me an age,
the
boy.
hypno.
Hypno with the hand,
And
right?
the hen dog, and that shit come out green. When it come out pure green,
Pure green.
Yeah,
you know that
you
drink
got
is
yourself
good.
in some shit, man.
Yeah.
Now looking back at it, that shit was stupid as fuck.
It was, man.
You messing up good.
You mixing
Yeah.
good ass liquor,
And you don't need to mix Hennessy.
No.
Yeah, you don't.
Hennessy is
But Hypnotic, but
evenly blended.
at the time, Hypnotic became super popular because it was in a
did
lot of
rap
hip hop music videos.
that
and
shit was
like
like fake Alizé to me.
Yeah, it was.
Like Alizé popped it off because
I didn't know Alizé came first.
to me, I felt like Alizé came because Tupac used to rap about
Thanks for
Alizé.
Alizé.
But the other thing about Hennessy too, I didn't mean to cut you
Nah,
off,
go
but
ahead,
like Mobb Deep is like when I really started. Like when they had the Hennessy jerseys.
Oh shit.
They had the Hennessy jersey. I think it was even spelled wrong, but that shit looked fly to me.
And Nas,
and Nas too.
He was talking about
Nas,
it.
yeah.
I don't know if he talked about it first or Tupac.
For me, I felt like
I feel like Pac, but I don't know.
it might have been
According to Nas, it was him first.
because I felt like they was talking about Hennessy on Genesis, like the very first song when it's him, AZ,
Yeah, yeah.
and Jungle,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
just talking
Pass the Henny.
Pass the Henny,
Yeah.
Pass the Henny,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
But see,
But,
Pac was out before that.
He
though.
was.
And he was talking. Was he talking
I
about?
don't know. We
I
got
don't
to
know.
look
I'm
that
from
up.
New York. I mean,
Ooh.
no, I'm saying I'm from New York. Like I was more. I mean, Tupac was obviously in New York, but
yeah.
I was like early on. I was like a
Yeah.
Nas guy. Like I didn't
Yeah,
really
of
get
course.
onto Tupac. I always knew Tupac from acting.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I learned about his music a little bit after. But just to wrap up the story, so I brought some Hypnotic to the party. We was in Brooklyn actually. I came to Brooklyn. I'm from Queens. Just
Part of
for
Brooklyn
those-
though.
I think it was like East New York.
Oh,
It
East
was,
New
it was
York.
close to the Ville.
Shout out
He
to
was
East
out.
New York. If I wasn't from Brownsville, I'd probably be from East New York.
But I remember I bought Hypnotic, and then the people in the crib looked at it and was like, "Hold up, what the fuck is?" They was like, "Hypnotic." Like, what you drinking? I was like, nah, bro.
I saw it in the Fab video.
I was like, yo, I saw it in the Fab video. I brought it to mix with the hen dog. And yeah, you know, I was drinking champagne, and then I was drinking Hennessy, and
You
then
got fucked up.
Yo,
the next
that's a
day,
bad
I
night.
mean, like my
Did
head
you have a
was-
beer too
I didn't, but
before you started drinking beers?
yeah, that was before I was done.
yeah. Next day, you
But
had been.
the next day I was done, bro. I called out of work. I was like, yo, I can't make it. I'm sick, bro. I'm not making this shit. But yeah, in my younger age, there was a lot of times I fucked up on Hennessy, but I tamed that beast. I feel,
Yeah.
and you know, to me, I think we were talking about it before we started recording. I think cognac is misinterpreted as a drink that people guzzle and they do shots of. And
Nah,
it's just
you're
one
supposed
of
to
those
sip
drinks
it.
where
Nah,
you're
yeah.
supposed to sip.
Supposed to sip that shit.
Supposed
You
to
get a cognac
enjoy-
glass to sip
You're
it.
supposed to enjoy. That's
enjoy it.
upscale bars, man. I go to dive bars.
I'm saying, no, they still give it to you in a cognac glass.
They don't give it to me in cognac glass, bro. They give it to
Nah,
me in
it's
fucking
shot
shot
glass.
glass. Yeah, exactly.
You ask for it neat, bro.
I do. Yo, I don't drink that shit mix.
But do you? Yeah,
I drink it neat.
All right.
Bro, I don't disrespect that. But anyway, I don't disrespect the whiskey neither. I don't drink nothing mixed. But anyway, unless it's house whiskey, maybe I might. But anyway, fuck that shit. All I'm saying is, like, it's a good drink. I think it's just one of those things that, just to wrap up what I think we all say, it's just culture. It's just embodied in our culture and how we grew up, and you just grew up around it. And,
we made it popular.
And to me, like, I don't know if you would agree, but I just feel like it's a rite of passage when you get into and again, if you're into drinking, when you get into the drinking stage of your age in life, it's one of those things that's like, yo, man, if you don't at least try this, what are you really drinking, bro?
Yeah. Mad Dog 2020.
Easy Jesus.
Easy Jesus.
Easy Jesus.
Oh, man. Terrible
right.
shit.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I love you.
Peace.
Good morning, good evening, and good night.
Peace.